Let's recite Namokar mantra together. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Uvajjayanam, Namo Loe Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamo Yaro, Savapavapanashanau, Mangalanam cha Savesim, Padamam Hovai Mangalam. चित्तारि मंगलम अरिहंत मंगलम सिद्धो मंगलम साहु मंगलम केवली पणत्तु धम्मो मंगलम चित्तारि लघुत्तमा अरिहंत लघुत्तमा सिद्धो लघुत्तमा साहु लघुत्तमा केवली पणत्तु धम्मो लघुत्तमा चित्तारि शरणं पौवाजामि अरिहंत शरणं पौवाजामि सिद्धो शरणं पौवाजामि साहु शरणं पौवाजामि केवली पणत्तु धम्मो शरणं पौवाजामि. Jai Jinendra, Ipshita, Hita, and Arham. We are here again and we are going to learn something together, okay? So I hope our live meeting is working. Yes. Namokar mantra together. Yes, I think it's all started, so we are good. Acha. So before I jump into the continuity of for the topic of Chahdhala, as you know, we are doing Dhal 1 at this point, right? The Stranjas, the Shlok, the Chand of Dhal 1. But before I jump into that, I wanted to uh, present to you a very important topic, a new topic, right? A limited topic for today. So let me start with a trivia question. Do you know what type of perv is ongoing at this point? A Jain perv is ongoing at this point, right? There is something very perv means a kind of a Jain festival. Okay. Uh, do you know what Jain perv is happening as we speak? Okay, yes, Ipshita Hita, one of you, if you could speak up.
Ashtanika.
Very good. Good job. You know your facts. Yes, Ashtanika is going on. Okay, Arham? Ashtanika is a perv of 8 days. Asht means eight, right? So the best connection is when we say Ashtanika, it's a perv of 8 days. And as I mentioned, it's a perv. Perv is synonymous to a festival as per Jain tradition. Now, the interesting fact about Jain Parv is, or Jain festival is, while other traditions, Parv is always associated with eating more and, being more joyous and celebrating and, doing several, funky things when it gifting and whatnot. When it comes to Jain Parv, the Parv is more centered around the feeling of renunciation, of tap, of penance, of taking vrat, right? So like our Das Lakshan, right? Do you know about Das Lakshan also? It's a parv, hai na? We say it's Das Lakshan parv. And what do we do during Das Lakshan? While we do focus on celebrations and there are activities around it, like celebratory and puja activities, but then more importantly, the focus is on fasting. It's on penance, है ना? It's on living a life of self-restraint and control during those periods as well. So is the case with Ashtanika. Now, interesting thing is while not many Jain folks know that Das Lakshan Parv also happens multiple time in the year. It's not just one time in the year. It's just that that time is the most conducive for us for doing self-restraint and tap. That's why we focus on that 10 days during August September time frame, right? As per our calendar. But the selection also happens multiple times in the year. Same is the case with Ashtanika. So let's cover this topic of Ashtanika, right? On what is the significance of the Parv Ashtanika, starting with that, and then we will jump onto the topic of the uh, Chahdhala. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen, beta? No? Okay, not yet. Okay,
It just
let
shows it's like
yeah,
shared, but it's blacked out.
it's blacked out. Okay, it says stop. Let me try one more time. It says pause, sharing pause. So I'll have to try it one more time and see if that works. Okay. Okay. If not, I will do a screen share. Okay, it was shared. Okay. I will do one more time sharing. I think I accidentally pressed the button. Jai Jin and Arohi, thanks for joining. Okay, it's shared, right? You can see the screen with Ashtanika Parv, the picture. Good job. Okay. So Ashtanika, let's first start with the facts around Ashtanika on, as I was telling you, right? Ashtanika means eight, right? And Anhi means days. So it's loosely translated to 8 days, right? As I was mentioning, like Daslakshan, Ashtanika Parv is also celebrated thrice in the year. Daslakshan, I think, is celebrated 4 times. There are 4 occasions for Daslakshan in a year, but for Ashtanika, it's 3 times. First time it is in the month of Kartik. That's around after Diwali, exactly what we are having now, right? The other time is Falgun, right? So the just before Holi, when there is the month of Falgun, that's when Ashtanika is celebrated. And third is in Ashad, which is around July, right, during the monsoon months. Starting of the monsoon, Chaumasa, Chaturmas is with Ashtanika. Okay, so these are the 3 occurrences. Now it lasts for 8 days until the Purnima or the full moon day. Right. So from now, it will last until the end of that fortnight. Right, which ends with culminates with the Purnima month. Okay. Uh, Again, I keep mentioning about Daslakshan, so one has to understand that like Daslakshan is very important festival for us, so is the festival of of Ashtanika. It's just that people are more excited about Daslakshan, but when it comes to tapasvis and especially the vrattis, the Shravak vrattis and Sadhu vrattis, you will always find them excitable around the term Ashtanika also, because this is the time when they get to focus more on their penance and self restraint and follow a much more pious life, है ना? Now that is all about what Ashtanika is. So this is again like any other Parv of Jains. It is a festival of purification of soul. This is the time when we are supposed to do worship of our Arihant Bhagwan and Siddha Bhagwan, perform pujas, prayers, and expect a religious atmosphere around us. Again, it's a festival of living a controlled, self-restraint life with lot of sanyam and tap. Okay, we should find every opportunity to meditate, do mala, do swadhyay like what we are doing now, and as more and more have discussion and contemplation around the soul that we are, right? Also at several places, especially in the temples where there is a bigger congregation in place, people perform siddha chakra vidhan. Now this is a very grand vidhan, one of the grandest vidhan. That is, it's a ritual, it's a Jain ritual, it's a meditative ritual. It is part of the dharm dhyan activity in that particular category of activities. Vidhans are, it is considered as a pindastha dhyan. Okay. And this is focused upon understanding of our own soul, because ultimately, what is the objective or goal of our soul? To attain Siddhagati. Right. So while we are worshipping Siddh, but it's not just for gaining any worldly to fulfillment of any worldly desires. Rather, our focus is to have our soul also attain that siddhatva, that state of ultimate purity and godhood, है ना? Or the highest state or the purest state, right? So when a soul becomes free of all the art karma, that is four ghati and four aghati karma, that's when we attain siddhatva. है ना? So that is what it is about. Now, that's all about the philosophical aspects and the significance of Ashtanika. What is important to also understand is the significance, the celestial significance of this Parv, right? Now, this is where we have to think about the Jain geography, है ना? तो अब मुझे कौन बताएगा as per Jain text, where are we humans located? I mean, where is our Earth? Can somebody tell me where exactly are we in the Lokakash? Arohi, I saw your hand raised first, so I'll give you an op.
Madhyalok.
Madhyalo, good job. You guys already know everything. You don't need this class. I think we are just having conversation here. Good job. Let's get more specific. Can you tell me where exactly in the Madhyalok we are? Okay, Ipshita or Ihita? One of you? Yes.
We're in the Aryakhand.
Aryakhand. Yeah. Before Aryakhand, there is one more thing. Let's try to triangulate. है ना? So your triangulation is good. So let's start with triangulation, right? So in the Lokakash, the first degree of triangulation was it's Madhyalok. Now let's go further down. Yes, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter.
Jam-
Huh?
the Jambu Dweep.
Jambu Dweep. Yes, I know you checked with your mom, but that's okay. It's a good thing. Yes, it is Jambu Dweep, right? So Jambu Dweep is the centermost part or the centralmost deep dweep, or some say first dweep in the in the sequence of innumerate number of dweeps that are there in Jambu Dweep, right? If you know about your theory on irrational numbers, you will know that, or rather, I should say real numbers, you will say that there are infinite number of real numbers on a number line, isn't it? There are infinite number of real numbers between two numbers also, right? Between 1 and 2, how many real numbers are there? Infinite, and so on and so forth. Same is the case with the middle world, or the Madhyalok, right? Madhyalok is made up of a a sequence of islands and oceans, Dweep and Samudra or Mahasamudra, right? So centermost Dweep is Jambu Dweep. After that, there is a Samudra, then there is a Dweep, then a Samudra, then a Dweep, and so on and so forth until it's a never-ending sequence, infinite number of times. ठीक है ना? Now, out of those, all the dweeps that we have, do you know how far the humans can survive? For how many dweeps can human life is possible, or manushya gati is possible? Who can tell me that? कितने द्वीपों तक मनुष्य गति सस्टेनेबल है, पॉसिबल है? किसी को आइडिया है? नहीं है, ओके. I will give you it first in Hindi. It is ढाई द्वीप. ढाई द्वीप मीन्स 2.5 द्वीप, है ना? तो 2.5 द्वीप तक humans are possible. Human life be humans can go, that is, or they can sustain, right? So different types of humans can survive in that space only of the मध्यलोक. So ऐसा नहीं है कि मध्यलोक के सारे द्वीपों में human life possible है. Only in the फर्स्ट 2.5 द्वीप, जिसको हम ढाई द्वीप बोलते हैं, वहां तक ह्यूमंस पॉसिबल है. देर इज ए बाउंड्री. नाउ इन द मैपिंग ऑफ जेन्स, इट इज कॉल्ड एज मानुषोत्तर पर्वत. देर इज ए sort of, you can think of as a mountain range that surround this second, or I should say third dweep halfway, and that is मानुषोत्तर पर्वत, है ना? अब इसको पर्वत बोल लो, कोई लोग बोल सकते हैं इन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ गैलेक्सी इट इज लाइक अ लिमिट, राइट? अ लेमा अप टू विच ह्यूमन लाइफ इज पॉसिबल. बियॉन्ड दैट नो ह्यूमंस कैन गो, राइट? तो उसको हमने बोला है मानुषोत्तर पर्वत. अब ये जो अ, नंदीश्वर, जो हम अष्टानिका की बात करते हैं ना, इसमें क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है? वी आर एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट द एट्थ द्वीप. Okay, so as we follow the sequence, right? The sequence, I think it's given there somewhere. At least some part is. Yes. So there is Jambu Dweep, there is Lavan Samudra, there is Ghatki Khand, then Kalodhidi Samudra, then Pushkara Dweep, and Pushkara Dweep के बाद फिर एक ocean, and likewise. So if you go in this sequence, and at the eighth in the order is what is called as Nandishwar Dweep. What is the name of the Dweep? नंदीश्वर. क्या नाम है उसका? यस, बोलो हिता और इप्शिता, वन ऑफ यू.
I thought you were asking a question. Never
नो
mind.
नो, आई वाज जस्ट रेटोरिकल क्वेश्चन. ओके, ठीक है ना? तो अब क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है अष्टानिका की? कि देयर एग्जिस्ट a 52 natural temples in in that dweep, in the Nandishwar dweep, okay, in the eighth island. And uh, as I mentioned, humans can only go up to two and a half dweep, right? So it is devs, it is the devs, the demigods who actually go to that, who are able to go to those that Nandishwar dweep and perform puja abhishek out there. Humans cannot, right? It is during these 8 auspicious days of Ashtanika that devs go there as a congregation and perform puja and abhishek of these 52 Jain temples or Jinalayas or Akratim Chaityalayas. These are like natural, they are not constructed Jinalayas. These are not Kratim, made up. They are naturally occurring Jinalayas, temples or Chaityalayas. In each of these 52 Jinalayas, there are 108 Jin idols. So in total, we are talking about 52 times 108 idols. So that's around 5,616 idols. So that many Bhagwan's idol. Now, which type of Bhagwan's idol are there? Obviously, we are not talking about Arihant Bhagwan. See, these are all Siddha Bhagwan, right? So there are idols of Kevali Bhagwan. Let's keep it very generic. और इन केवली भगवान की आइडल्स पे जाकर वो पूजा एंड अभिषेक करते हैं, right? We humans cannot go there. So rather, what the humans do is humans pretend. Humans are like, they have a habit of doing pretending, playing the pretending game, right? So rather than doing that, what they rather do is they have created their own models of Nandishwar Dweep, or they have created pujas of Nandishwar Dweep, and then they perform those pujas, especially during this Ashtanika Parv. Now, idea is like devs are all getting the punya, labh of doing this type of very rare puja. We should also get that labh and in the process gather enough punya karm that can give us a higher life. है ना? तो with that intention, we humans perform the puja of Nandishwar Deep during the auspicious Parv of Ashtanika. That is the significance of Ashtanika Parv. है ना? तो दैट्स व्हाट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर, राइट? तो अगर आपसे कोई पूछता है कि अष्टानिका पर्व की सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है, नाउ यू नो, right? Its significance is it is the time when devs go to the Nandishwar Dweep, the eighth Dweep, and perform puja at the 52 Akratim Jinalayas, which where each Jinalaya has 108 idols of Bhagwan Siddha, right? And we humans, because we cannot go there, we use different tools and rituals to follow with the intention that we will get the same type of labh as is being gathered by these devs. Okay, that's what it is about. Now, also during, as I mentioned, this is the time when a important vidhan is performed at multiple temples. This is called as Siddha Chakra Vidhan. Okay, this is the ritual. The making a mandal is a very meditative activity. This is an activity which is very important part of the dharam dhyan, of the padastha dhyan in particular. And the idea is while you make this mandal, a person can, this gives you an opportunity to bring your man, vachan and kai, your thoughts, your words and action together in towards a dharmic cause, right? So Siddha Chakra Vidhan is a Vidhan that is dedicated to the Siddha Bhagwan for performing their Aradhana, their puja, in particular remembering their attributes, the qualities of a Siddha Bhagwan. Right? So the puja is not just like gibberish, poetic creations one after the other. Siddha Chakra Vidhan is a very structured Vidhan where each and every quality, each and every attribute of Siddha Bhagwan is remembered and is contemplated upon. So this Vidhan Arham is just a technique to revise those qualities of Siddha Bhagwan, right? In particular, the destruction of the 8 karmas, because these 8 karma destruction is what leads to Siddhatva. है ना? And that's what it is about. Okay, so that's what Nandishwar Dweep Pujan is all about. That's what I wanted to cover about Nandishwar Dweep Puja and Siddha Chakra Vidhan, and in particular about Ashtanika Parv. Any question on this topic, beta? Sarthak? Okay, good. Ihita Apshita, you have a question?
Could you go down one slide?
Yes, beta.
No, the like from a bit more up,
Yes.
a bit more,
Okay.
a bit more.
One more? Here?
No, like at the top, the second slide.
Okay.
Yeah, this one.
हाँ जी, बोलो बेटा.
I just wanted to take a screenshot.
You have it. You don't have to take a screenshot, or you will have all this material in your Google Classroom.
Okay.
Okay? So you rather refer to these slides from there because you will have all this, as a connected idea. Okay? Okay, so with this topic done, let's now, if there are no questions, Arohi, right? I would like you to know about this Astanika, है ना? Because क्या होता है ना अपने इंडिया में our parents, grandparents, many of them perform religious fasting and rituals during this Parv, and we should be aware of it. We should be not just aware of it, we should be having conversation with them about Ashtanika. है ना? So this is your opportunity to have a meaningful discussion with your grandparents, right? Why are we learning all these concepts? We are learning all these concepts so that we are not just getting the information in, but we are also being able to do meaningful conversations around it with our folks, है ना? So this is your opportunity, right? So next time, maybe when you are talking to your dadi nani, you can have conversation around Ashtanika. Okay, make sense, Arthak? Okay, great. So now let's shift to our focus to the topic of continuity, which is Chahdhala. Okay, so we all know that Chahdhala is a religious text that was written by Pandit Daulat Ram ji in the 18th century, right? This is the tail end of the of almost Mughal uh, administration was collapsing in the north of India, and the Britishers were coming in. The East India Company, to be more precise, was coming in. During those chaotic times, there was this Jain Pandit, this Jain Shastri, this revered person by name Daulat Ramji. While he was busy in his uh, own business, he was a Shravak. He was a practicing Shravak who used to do Swadhyaya every day, and he got all his knowledge compromise combined into a compendium called Chahdhala. है ना? We are going through that Chahdhala one by one. There are six dhals or six chapters or six, as they call it, shields. In other words, there are six different meters of recitations that are used in this poetic creation. We are going through the first dhal that is more focused towards the pains and sorrows of this world across the four gatis, the sansari jeev that we are, right? Either whether we are humans, dev, or tiryanch, or the narki jeev, in all these life forms, in all these gatis, jeev are subjected to different type of pains and sorrows, and we are actually going through that. Okay, so just giving you a brief on that. Now let's do the recitation of the Manglacharan together. तीन भुवन में सार वीत राग विज्ञानता शिव स्वरूप शिवकार नमहु त्रियोग संहारिके. Okay, so this is just a recitation of the significance of the of the it's a Mangla Charan. It's a obeisance. It's a stanza of obeisance dedicated towards the science of Vitragta. That is the science of attaining the state of equanimity or moksha, right? Vitrag avastha. And with the complete synchronization of my three yogs, my man, vachan and kai, I am bound down to that science of vitragta. That is what is the significance of this strange, the first strange. Okay, now let's do a quick revision of what we covered the last time. So last time we covered this. Give me a second. Okay, let me do if I can do a slideshow. Can you still see this, Arham? Okay, perfect. So last time we covered the fifth and sixth Tranja, right? And we were actually going through the Tiryanch Gati. Now you remember we all talked about this, that for the better part, if we average it out across all the you know um, all the infinite number of jeeves that there are, infinite to infinite. So ananta anant jeeves that they are there, and we average all the different life forms that they have lived in, then it will come out as that majority of the times a life form has a jeev has taken a life form of Nigodia jeev, right? And it is all next to it is very hard. It is rarest of rare to come out of that Nigodia Jeev life form. Right? Remember what was the one of the shlok said. And in that Nigodia Jeev life form, a Jeev lives and dies 18 times in one human, while a human takes one breathe, right, in and out. Nigodia Jeev would have lived and died 18 times. That short of life's duration they have, and during that life duration, they have no opportunity to uplift their life form, and there is a lot of agony and pain and sorrow of being a Nigodia Jeev. Once after, it's a sheer chance that a Jeev could come out of that Nigodia life form, and when they come out, they become the Ekendriya Jeevs, right? So that Jal Kai, Vanaspati Kai, Agni Kai, Vayu Kaic type of Jeev forms, right? That's what they become. And from there, it is a rarity that one of the Jeeves would probably get a life form of Trus, right? What are Trus? So Trus life forms are the life forms. So, this Ekendre Jeev life form is what we call as Sthavar form. Sthavar matlab they cannot move on their own volition, right? It would take some external force to move them, for them to move from one place to another. They don't have that volition of their own, right? Like trees don't move on their own volition. They are just stationary. Same is the case with Jalkai and Vayukai. It takes something else, some kind of uh, some physics to come into the play for their motion to happen. Physics beyond their volition, right? On the contrary, thrust jeeves are 2, 3, 4, and 5 sensed organisms. In particular, so what happens is from the Sthavar life form, a Jeev comes out to become a thrust Jeev form of 2 and 3 and 4 senses. That too is a rarity. It is not that common, right, for a Jeev to take a life form of being a thrust of 2, 3, 4 sense organs. These are sometimes referred to as Vikalendriya, right? Vikal Indriya Jeev, 2, 3, 4, right? So we call them Vikalendriya thrust Jeevs. So that's what happens. Now, then what happens? Even after that, some of these thrust jeeves would get an opportunity because of their karma, that they may end up gaining a life form of a panchendriya jeev, right? One born with 5 indris. But there again, they would either be born as asangi panchendri or sangi panchendri of cruel and sinful type. Right now, what is Asangi and Sangi? We covered that. Asangi are those which are born with rational power of rationality or cognizance, right? Or learning ability on their own volition. While Sangi are those which are born with learning ability or rationality on their side, while Asangi Panchendris are those which do not have any learning ability of their own, right? So the idea is rarity, right? What is the poet trying to establish? The poet is trying to establish that if you have got a life form of a human being, it is a precious jewel, right? Because think of it, you could have been born as a Nigodia Jeev, or for that matter, a Sthavar Jeev of a, of vanaspati ka hai, sadharan vanaspati, or any other jal ka hai, vayu ka hai. Or you could have even become the 2 indriya, 3 indriya, or 4 indriya jeev, or for that matter a 5 indriya jeev of either a sanghi type or a sanghi type with cruel and sinful intentions, like a tiger, like a lion, like a elephant, right? In that's all what you have not become in this life. You have actually become a human, and not just a human, you have become a human that is born in a Jain family. So we should all be thankful for this opportunity that nature has provided us, that our past karma has given us, है ना? And be thankful of it. This is the general moral of the story. We are slowly getting there. Okay. Now, that said, right now we are talking about this next stanza, the stanza seventh, where we are talking about the weaknesses in the Tiryanch Gati. Tiryanch Gati means the oblique forms, right? Oblique form matlab the people who the animals, the animal world together is referred to sometime by this name Tiryanch Gati, subhuman life form. है ना? So these subhumans could be in any type of the zoological and biological world, right? Except human beings, right? So what is this shlok says, or this stanza says? कबहु आप भयो बलहीन सबलीन सबलन करी खायो अति दीन छेतन छेदन भेदन भूख पियास भार वहन हिम आतप त्रास. What does it says? It says that, even if I would not have become a Panchendri Jeev, I might have become a Jeev, a weak, timid animal. I might have become either a weak, timid animal, or I would have become uh, okay, so let me cover it this way. So I might have become a timid animal who may have lived as a under the fear of being eaten by other more stronger animals or more cruel animals, or I may have lived a life of a domesticated animal, right, where my body would have got pierced, right, like what happens with cows and buffaloes, right? Sometimes their noses are pierced so that they can put a knuckle, a kind of a noose in their nose. Same is the case with horses, right? Their body is pierced all over the place, so they can be used for domestication, right? For either cultivation, for either as a vehicle, for carrying burden, right? And not just that, I would have been subjected to the elements of the nature also directly, right? Hot and cold, right? So as if I would have, even if I would have been born as a you know uh, is a higher form Tiryanch Gati Jeev, like a Sangi or a Sangi Jeev, I might have been born as a weak animal, right? And I might have been eaten up by stronger animals. In this life form, Jeev have to face many sufferings, right? If you are, let's say, born as a domesticated animal, then you are subjected to the acts of piercing, cutting, hunger, thirst, carrying burden, cold and hot, right? So all in all, this life is full of sorrows and pains. People have this, the animation world creates an impression that, oh, animals have such a cool life. It is not, right? They are subjected to so many elements of the nature, and they always live in a constant fear of getting eaten by a predator, right? So they are here. What we are talking about, life of of an animal of prey, a bird of prey. What is their fear? They are always trying to protect themselves against some other animal, a predator coming and eating them up, right? Or they becoming hunted by these animals, right? And even if they are born as, let's say, puppies or dogs, what are they subjected to? They are subjected to so many activities that their master want them to be involved in, right? The training and non-training and these piercing and cutting, and even the food they get, sometimes they may not get food in time and whatnot, right? So this is what this stranger talks about. Now, What? Let's have this conversation. So let's do this between Arham and Arohi. So Arham, you have to read the real to the mixed me, okay, the boy, and Arohi, you will read the real me. Okay, go ahead.
I can't even imagine their pain. It's rather better to die than living this way.
No, no, dying is not the solution. Sufferings never end with death. Let's see where else can Jeev go after death.
Right. Where else? Let's see, right? What other possibilities, what other options we have, right? Think of it. Here we are also talking about as a jeev, what are our choices or what are options available to us? आप बाजार में जाते हो तो options देखते हो ना? What different type of phones are available? What different type of toys are available? Think of it like that. What different type of life forms you can get? Not always good, right? So you have to make an informed decision on it. Okay. So what is this next life form? Let's talk about this. Now, this is here. We are now starting to uh, touch base upon the sufferings of a subhuman life form and the causes of the Narak Gati. Right? So we started from Tiryanj Gati, and with this Strenja, we'll be shifting over to the Narak Gati. Okay? So Bandh Bandhan Adi Dukh Ghane Koti Jeebte Jat न भने अति संक्लेश भावते मरियो घोर घोर श्वभ्र सागर में परियो.
अति संक्लेश भावते.
Very good, Arohi. You can do it. I like that. You know, it has to be sung in a particular meter, and you were doing it, right? I was looking for my daughter. She recites it very well. बंध बंधन आदि दुख घने कोटि जीबते जात न भने अति संक्लेश भावते मरियो घोर श्वभ्र सागर में परियो. Now, what does that mean? This is talking about, right? When let me directly jump. Yeah, in the state of animal life, in the Tiryanj Gati, Jeev faced sufferings like being butchered, bounded, right? Which are so severe that they cannot be narrated with millions of tongues. So now what the poet is doing is they are using their creative, uh, ways to convey that it is so hard to convey all the pains of a Tiryanj Gati life form in words. So what I can do is let me switch my focus. Thus, what happens is whenever such jeeves they are born, what happens next, right? Whenever they die, not always they die in immense joy. Rather, they die with under intense kashai. And when somebody dies with intense kashai, aka Sanklesh, right? Sanklesh is another word for intense kashai, anger, pride, deceit, and greed. And then what happens next? Then they take birth into the most terrible oceans of sorrow. That is, they get born as they get in the next life form, they are born as Narak Gati Jeeves. Now, where do Narak Gati Jeeves live? Who is going to tell me? Yes, Ihita Go ahead, beta.
Um, like
कहाँ होते हैं
what?
Narak जीव?
Like what? Never mind.
हैं बेटा? Go
Um,
ahead. One
Adolok
of you answers. Answer.
and the Adolok.
In the Adholok. Very good. In the lower universes. So there are uh, कितने नर्क होते हैं? How many narks are there? How many nark bhumis are there? Or nark lands are there? Yes, beta. बताओ. Ihita
7.
Seven. Good answer, right? So there are these seven nark, and we'll talk about them, yeah, next, right? This is where humans are, sorry, this is where jeeves are born if they die, with Sanklesh. So when Ayugati Mandh is happening, and if somebody does Sanklesh at that time, then that type, the next Ayugati Bandh that they will have is of Narki Jeev, of being a Narki Jeev, right? So one should always keep their kashai in check and keep away from the intense kashais, because if somebody does intense kashai and that is the moment of their ayugati mandh, then the Ayugati that they will get is that of Narki Jeev. And Narki Jeev is not a great life to have, right? This is probably the most the worst type of life form that one can be born as after Nigodia Jeev. So one can debate between whether Nigodia Jeev's life form is bad or Narki Jeev. According to me, either way, it's bad, it's worst, right? And we should try to avoid them, right? So when a Tirench Jeev dies while doing a Sanklesh Bhav, they are born as Narki Jeev. But that is equally applied to human beings also, right? If some human being is involved in immense, intense type of violence and anger and deceit and greed, then when they die, they are born as Narki Jeevs. Okay, so Narki is this the so here there is some concept description, right? So Tiryanch as a word, right? Tiryak is means oblique, right? So oblique life form. So Tiryanch means oblique life form, right? The Jeeves who are suffering the results of oblique feelings are known as Tiryan Jeeves. Oblique feelings मतलब deceit. कोई जीव अगर माया करता है बहुत ज्यादा involved in lot of deceitful behavior, then the life form that they will get is Tiryanj Gati. Similarly, when a jeev does lot of Sanklesh Bhav, then they are born as Narki Jeevs. So you may be, let's say, a Dev, right? If let's say there is a Dev, but if the Dev does lot of Sanklesh, right? Or they are do lot of Maya, intense Maya, then you can think of what life form they will get next. They will either get Tiryanj Gati or they will get Narki Gati accordingly. है ना? So this is very important to also understand that Sanklesh or what is called as Pap and Ashubh Bhav, one should keep refrain from doing that. Rather, one should be focusing on on the Punya and Shubh Bhav. Okay? Okay. So now Ipshita Hita answered it correctly that yes, there are seven narks. These narks are also called as Adho Alok. And seven, they are arranged this way, right? Ratna Prabh, Sharkara Prabh, Baluk Prabh, Pank Prabh, Dhoom Prabh, Tam Prabh, and the Mahatam Prabh, right? So, while the favorability reduces from one to the next, right? It's in that order. So most favorable, if that is a term, even first narc is not that favorable, but relatively speaking, one can say that first narc is relatively more favorable than the seventh narc. है ना? So and so, right? And in between. Not just that, even the density, right? So the quality of life, while it is worst in the Narak Loks, even that quality varies, right? The best quality would be probably in the Ratna Prabha Narak, which is not good enough even, right? But that's how it is organized. So what happens is in these Narkloks, right? The light, uh, the the life-sustaining environment and the density, the pressure, and everything kind of increases as you go down upon. So, sorry, not light increases, light decreases. So you can say darkness increases, right? So all these things of unfavorability are are increasing, or in other words, favorability is reducing as you go from first narc to second narc to third narc to fourth narc and likewise. है ना? So that is what a jeev is subjected to, right? So there is a stratum of society even in Narklok. Not all narki jeevs are of the same type. Right? There are certain narki jeevs who may be feeling, I'm at least better than the jeev born in Sharkara Prabh and so forth, right? But they are no better, right? They are just all living a worse type of life. Okay. Let me move to the next slide. You have a question, Ita Ipshita? Okay. Now, what happens is in the Nark loks or in the Patal loks, the layers, the seven layers, there are definite numbers of layers within them, right? So in these loks or these bhumis, each bhumi has a fixed number of pattals or layers, planes basically. And in each pattal, there are these what is called as a bill. है ना? अब बिल क्या होता है हिंदी में? बिल इज अ वर्ड ऑल्सो यूज फॉर ए हॉलो और अ बरो, राइट, जिसमें कोई जीव रहता है. बट इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट, इन जैन कॉन्टेक्स्ट, देर आर दीज बिल्स. You can see it that way, that bills are the places or of residence of a nargati jeev, right? So where do they live? They live in these bills. So इसका एक बहुत अच्छी एनालॉजी है, like think of नरक गति as a 7-star hotel. 7-story hotel. Okay. First Narak to downwards to seventh Narak. And in each of these hotels, there are these different alleys. These alleys are what are called as pattals, right? So every level has a fixed number of alleys. And in each alley, there are a fixed number of rooms, or in other words, you can say bills, right? So bill में भी type of bill होते हैं. जैसे rooms होते हैं ना, presidential suite and the normal double room and second what is single room, and likewise similarly you can, this is an analogy just to on the fun side. It's not like exactly how it is, but that's what bills are. Bills are the places where narki jeeves live and where they are live a life of suffering, right? So this is the place of their residence and of their work. Their work is nothing but just getting sufferings. That's what a bill is all about. Okay, that's where they live and suffer. In total, there are 84 lakh bills. 84 lakh bills. Okay, 8400,000 bills there are. And how many pattals are there? In total, there are 49 pattals. So each Nark level has a different number of pattal, which is given here, right? From 13 to 11 to 9, it follows an odd sequence series, right? So in the seventh Nark, there is one pattal, while in the first Nark, there are 13, right? And it is, as you can see, it's following an odd series. Make sense? Okay. So what is Indrak Bill? This is how it is organized. If someone can plot the map of Narak Bill, Narak Gati, or sorry, Narak Pattal, one of the layers, this is how it looks, right? So all these yellow ones, yellow dots are like called as Shreni Baddha bills. And then, all these in the sectionals, you would see these reddish bills. They are randomly scattered Prakirnak bills. And then in the center of all it, of a particular pattal, there is what is called as an Indrak bill. Think of Indrak bill is like a presidential suite, right? And the yellow ones are a little bit uh, bigger size bills called as Shrinibaddha bills, right? These bills are organized in a horizontal, vertical, or a diagonal line in the formation of a star, keeping Indrak bill at the center. Okay, while the Prakarnik bills are much more worse. They are like these smaller sized bills or placeholders which are randomly scattered all through that particular pattal. Okay, so this is just the structuring of a pattal, of a layer or a plane on a narak bhumi. Okay, now wait, I think I missed one thing here in between. Yeah. So why is all this thought important? See, the next set of Strenja that we are going to cover in the next class, we are going to do a focus into the Narak Gati, right? While we are so far, we have been saying that Tadranj Gati is no good, right? It may sound fancy due to animation movie, but being born as a puppy or a parrot or being born as a cow or a dog or a buffalo is no good, right? Even being born as a lion or tiger is no good, right? It may look good in animation movies, that's about it, right? There is a lot of pain and suffering there. Now we'll start focusing on something that we cannot see, right? We cannot see narki jeeves with our life, with our eyes, right? We only have an idea of them from our agam, from our scriptures. We will learn about the pains and sorrows, the immense pain and sorrow and cruelty that a narki jeev is subjected to. Importantly, one thing one has to understand that, getting a life of narki jeev is no good. When a jeev does lot of sanklesh, intense kashay, krodh, man, maya, lobh, that results into narakati, right? So there are some jeeves who intentionally or unintentionally get involved in this sanklesh avastha, right? They get once a day or twice a day or all through the day they keep doing intense kashay, what would it lead to? It would lead to narki gati. उस समय अगर आयु गति बंद हो गया तो what you will get is narki gati. है ना? Yes, Ita Ipshita.
In
बोलो बेटा.
Naragati, aren't the babies like really big?
Sorry, what is bad? Can you come again?
In Naragati, aren't the babies like that get born in Naragati really big?
No, in Naragati, the babies are born in a very interesting process. It's a very painful process. They think of it like being born in a test tube,
Isn't
right? So
it?
they are
I
not born. They are born in an artificial womb. They don't have even the luxury of being born from a mother, right? Like Tiryanj Gati Jeeves at least have a mom, right? They either have a they are born as an egg. Even if they are born as an egg, there is a mom. They come out of another Tiryanj Gati Jeev. In Narak Gati Jeev, that is not the case.
is
And the babies, there is no concept of baby. As soon as they are born, they are subjected to deep pain, the cutting, and we'll learn all that in the next few stranjas. So keep your question there. है ना? There is no concept of a baby in Naragati. As soon as they are born, they are in completely they are fully mature, and right away they get subjected to pain and sorrow and cutting and beating. Sarthak, you have a raised hand. Please go ahead.
So these jeeves, they live in these bells, right?
Yes, they live, and that's their place of, as I said jocularly, that's their place of residence and their work. Right? So all the suffering that they are subjected to is also in these bills only.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Hitapshita, you have a question.
since they like after all the cutting, like and let's say they die, so will they be born in a different bill or say the same one?
Anyone, any possibility is there, right?
Okay.
Depending on what type of what are they are subjected to, right? So if that say there is a fruition of a particular type of pap karm that they did in a past life, which demands them to be subjected to a particular type of punishment for 2 days, they will be in that type of bill for 2 days. Next, they will be born somewhere else,
Okay.
right? And likewise, right? And it's not like they die. Even when they are cut, it's like they get cutted and then their body kind of joins back. They have a Vecraic type of sharir. So it kind of breaks. So they get pained in that process of breaking, and then again they join back. There is pain even in that process, and so and so forth. That keeps happening. Okay? Yes. Yes, beta. Go ahead.
It, I was saying that isn't it like once they're born in Narakati, the like they have to other people that are already in Narakati like chop the person up to get out of the bed.
I'm not sure if I'm following your question, beta. Can you come again? Like if they are born as Naragati, then what happens to the other jeeves?
No. She was asking like when they're born, like the people immediately like they're in like a I don't exactly remember, but then the other Naragati people like cut them up and then put their body parts like outside and then they reattach so then they can actually like.
Oh, beta, that is exactly what the pain they're suffering to. Now, these other jeeves who are involved in that process could be other Naragati jeeves, and then there are a very special type of devs also,
Slaves,
like
yeah.
lowly devs, ambavarish devs, who are involved in stoking the fire. In other words, they are responsible for causing a kind of they are responsible for making these Naragati jeeves fight with each other, right? So yes, that's kind of things happen, right? So other Naragati, and we'll learn about all this. So keep your thoughts there, right? Because the next set of Stranjas of Chand are actually dedicated towards Narak Gati life form only. We are just starting, है ना? So all these things I think you already know, which is amazing. You already know a lot about Narak Gati, and it's just a continuity that we'll have from here. Make sense? Okay. Let's go to Chintan, which is contemplation. So, what is the question? So, the question here is imagine yourself in the body of a cow, which is a domesticated animal, right? Or any Sanghi animal, animal with learning ability, and imagine what tortures they go through when slaughtered, when it is hot or severely cold, when they are subjected to hunger, thirst, carrying heavy burdens. If somebody is born as a cow or a buffalo or an ox, they are subjected to all this, isn't it? By the way, all these animals, the names I took, are all Sanghi Panchindri Jeevs. They are all born with five senses and learning ability. Aman, right? They have feelings. They have they have some degree of learning and cognizance with them, right? That is exactly what they use to do a particular type of jobs, right? But they are subjected to so much of pain and agony. So you have to write 5 lines about this type of life form and submit it in the Google Classroom. Okay? Yes, beta.
Do you want us to write as if we're the cow, or what? Like what?
Yes.
See.
Yes. What does it say? Imagine yourself in the body of a cow. है ना? Make sense? Okay. Any question, Arham? Sarthak? Okay, so I think we are good. We are also doing good on time. So let's end here. We covered all what we wanted to cover. Let's do Jinwani Stuti and end our Pathshala class today. Okay? जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक ते वाणी मस्तक धरूं देहूं सदा धोक हे जिनवाणी भारती माँ तो हे जपूं दिन रैन जो तेरी शरणा गए माँ सो पावे सुख चैन मिच्छामी दुक्कडम बच्चों उत्तम क्षमा and see you in the next Pathshala class. It's going to get more exciting from here, right? You already know a lot of concepts on Naragati. That is exactly what we cover in the next few stranjas. Okay? Next time. Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jai.
Jai
Yes,
Jinendra.